on, y'all. Give it up. Give it up.
My hands are broken. Not tumbled down the stairs onto my wrist or tried to smash a wall down with my fist sort of broken. Nothing has been battered or shattered. They simply don't work like they're supposed to. You see, when I pick up a pen to write, it's like trying to hold a snake between my fingers. Slipping and slithering, I can only scratch out a few sloppy symbols before it turns and sinks its fangs into my veins. And I let it fall as my arm fills with pain. Because I am irony incarnate, a writer who can't write, producing symbols so ugly that they seem to spite my foolishness for even making the attempt. Does my own body hold me in contempt? No. I refuse to give in, give up thus, and let my words die for want of steady hands. They may be weak, but I control my limbs, and I'll make my body do what I demand. And besides, my digits are not solely wastes of space, 'cause I can cook up a meal that will bring you in the door, order 3 up, and then beg for some more. And while holding a pencil, they struggle to move. Hand me a bass and my fingers will groove. So while it might be sad that a pen and a pad are enough to bring my flow to a stop, before you conclude that my verse must be crude, just watch what I can do with a laptop. Thank you all so much. I cannot quite believe that I am standing in this spot. Someone ought to hold up a 7.0 or something just so I feel at home. That was the first piece I ever did here. And I came up here shaking like a leaf, not too unlike now when I walked off stage and Bobby Crawford gave me a hug and I've been coming back ever since. This next one is actually older than that. I wrote it in college. It's a true story. The names have been omitted to protect the fucking clueless. It is called Rant. Just get her drunk. It hit me like a bullet. I was sitting talking with a friend, asking what to do about someone I like, when you stuck your head in and said, just get her drunk. And I sat, slack-jawed, staring at your smug, self-satisfied, pink-shirted, shit-eating smile. Rationality fails in the face of such things, but today I have a few questions. Like, who are you? No, seriously, who are you? What do you believe? Do you have opinions beyond Nickelback is still hardcore and that party was totally sick, yo? Are you actually proud of yourself? I have no doubt that you could kick my ass at beer pong, but is that the sum total of your feats? I would ask, right as it might be, how do you sleep? If I hadn't seen you pickle yourself in more booze than the generic foreign bad guy gets at a pro wrestling show. Yeah. And one last thing. What the hell are you doing here? You see, I thought we were here to learn things, discover things, broaden our perspectives, but to crib a line from Einstein, you have been given a brain when only a spinal cord would do. But maybe I've just seen too many of your type, like the son of a bitch who took my 14-year-old sister, told her he loved her, and then kicked her to the curb when she had the common sense not to fuck him. I despise people like you. And you may think that you're some badass, but the plain truth is that you are a pathetic, chicken shit, little coward too scared to face the fact that a woman you don't drug first might call you on your bullshit. So, bro, don't give me advice. Or the next party you go to, the punch you black out from might be mine. Jeff Robinson, Trino, everybody. Yeah. So, all right. So, a lot of my favorite people in the world, certainly a lot of my favorite poets are in this room. There was one person who is not in this room and who I would give just about anything to have here. A large part of the reason that I moved to Boston after I finished college was my godmother, Anne. And we lost her a few months back, and I wrote this piece for her. I can't see you. My whole life, you've been as far as land can go, and still we'd trek to you. And you'd open up your arms and smile. Now I could just walk on down the hill, but I can't see you. I can't see you, just a dribble of reports, cadences I'll read from others as they try desperately to talk of soccer games and lunch plans and anything but the pain upon your face, and I can't see you. Every time the storm has battered me, every time I've been smashed up against these rocks, your door is where I've run to. Now the lightning bolts have set up shop within your chest, and I can't see you. Yes, I know the big unspoken truth, the stalking demon, the thing that has scuttled up behind and snapped every time we had dared to hope that at long last this damn thing was through fucking with us. But it's been 4 years. 4 years of tests and treatments and hedged bets until it was all just wallpaper, the background noise of your continued brilliance. And wasn't it just 8 weeks ago that you talked of hospice plans in the same tone most of us use for being briefly put on hold? So why can't I see you? Why, as others come and go, am I denied at the door? Left waiting for a call that never comes, left to give you space that grows forever. Are you shielding me, as though I am still 6? Is it for me alone you feel you must perform? And then one day, the call comes, and it is not you, and it is not good, and all chance has passed. A blur occurs, and I am standing in a church as, per your last request, I stand reciting proof rock to a pretty little box. Because even now, even at the last, I still can't see you. And I want nothing but to scream and curse and go. But I'll end with form, because you loved it so. We walk down through the grass, the box is brought, and by that bit of stone I finally see your plot. That since I never saw you lying there, I'll have to go on looking everywhere. Thank you all so much. So, in my other life, or one of my other lives, I am the chairman of the City of Somerville's Commission for Persons with Disabilities. And thank you. And we worked to do advocacy for people with disabilities and to make places more accessible. And this is about that and the way that, without meaning it, that kind of thing can affect everywhere, including places like this. I hope it's clear in the piece. It's not an attack on anybody. It's just a commentary. It's called Access. The best thing about an open mic is the open part. Out there, we are silenced. We are restrained by structures. There are gates to keep us back. But in here, anyone can walk in and win. So long as they can walk. So long as steps can be surmounted, thresholds cleared, so long as Rick McIntyre's spine screaming with each step can drag himself to the mic, he will be cheered with the best of them. Because this is nobody's fault. No bouncers are in place to block us. In here, we are not a resented expense, present only by force of laws. It's just that poets are nomads. We have no palaces of our own making. We huddle in basements the way heretics do. We are an underground movement. We are generously sheltered, and elevators are impractical at best. But that's how it goes. It's like being a space alien. You come to spiraling towards the surface of this blue marble, and upon impact, crawling from the wreckage of your ship, you find the gravity crushes, the air singes your lungs, or simply that everything is built for beings who are built differently from you. And so we are spoken for, as we have always been spoken for by the well-meaning, the pious ones full of goodwill, and by me, right now, as though my title and my broken hands mean I get to say what denial feels like. Last week I took the T to speak to senators on behalf of people who can't take it at all, who can navigate broken sidewalks the way you or I could navigate minefields, who skate by on scraps and are cursed for it. The state said, on your backs we will close our shortfall. We will double the price of your presence. So die quietly, in private. You cannot afford to complain. I can walk in, and I've been welcomed incredibly. And I just wish they could be too. They'd know that in here, no voice is silenced. If only there were a difference between a force field and a flight of stairs. Thank you. So I have these awesome brand spanking new chapbooks for sale tonight, made by the thoroughly awesome Megan Ford. If any of you poets out there do not have your own chapbook and want to get one of your very own, you should get in touch with her. She is good at what she does. So, on that note, I'm going to read one out of there. I wrote this for a college poetry class, and I walked in and I read it, and they said, this is a love poem, right? And I started to resist, and I realized it is a love poem. We do not write enough love poems about our friends. So, this is called 5 a.m. It was 3 hours since Star Trek stopped when everyone said, I've got so much work and class in the morning. 8:30 should be illegal, I think I said. Not the class, the hour. I'm not human before 10. He followed me home. He did that sometimes, going the wrong way because that is how conversations work. Getting good only when there is work to do, and sleep to get. But we are not sensible people. So we stood, huddled against coal that rises from hard frozen flagstones, and talked about copyrights, and drug policy, and cheese. We can't digress, because that means you're trying to get somewhere. We always stay here. At some point he said, it's all just numbers. Then went on to tell me about programs that turned John Donne, Jackson Pollock, and Jimi Hendrix into 10,000 ones and zeros. And I just wondered if they could do the same for us. Thank you. On the merchandise front, I also have a limited number of these prints of the first piece that I did at the beginning, and I will sign them so you can have an example of my horrific handwriting on the poem about it. All right, this next piece has to come with a disclaimer because I did it at a reading at the Cantab and someone got very upset, which I felt bad about. So this poem is about anti-Semitism and my family and my experience of anti-Semitism. Yes, I'm Jewish, even though I'm named Colin Killick and I look like this. I am a stealth Jew. But as such, it contains some fairly serious slurs. It's called Fig Leaf. To every bigot who has ever trotted out the phrase, our Judeo-Christian values. I am not your fig leaf. I am not your white and blue blinders. You cannot grind me up and sprinkle me on your shit to make it kosher. Spare me your pretend pluralism, please. As if your utopia would have room for Judeo anything. Our past has made us many things, but not gullible. You see, I am only here by happenstance. At best, I come from people who were good at running, at carrying their lives off on their backs as their neighbors burnt their houses down, and they were the lucky ones. Not like Golda, my grandmother's grandmother, the first female Torah scholar Ukraine had ever seen. She was beaten to death by someone who wanted her candlesticks. You see, the priests had a way of slipping into their sermons somewhere between the brimstone and bake sale plans that the Yids need the blood of babies to make the matzah come out right. Any Jew, of course, can tell you this is impossible. If it were true, matzah would taste like something. My grandmother was born running through Romania, her mother allowed to slow down just long enough to be cleaned up and sent packing. In 1938, she set sail for that great North American land full of freedom and a real chance. I refer, of course, to Canada. Because in 1938, the United States of America denied Jews at the door. Because in 1938, Father Coughlin was king. Father Coughlin, Rush Limbaugh, and Pat Robertson's joint wet dream. 1 in 3 Americans tuned in each Sunday night, and that year he told them that God says Hitler is right. It is one of history's great ironies that we invented the word scapegoat. But yes, this is all just ancient history. Why, who remembers 1961 when my mother at 7 had boys throw rocks at her head and call her a dirty Yid bitch? And the country club in Newton had no Jews in black and white in its bylaws. Who today draws breath was around in 1973 when, on the tapes he made to document his greatness, Nixon says we're all treacherous bastards and the Soviets can gas us for all he cares? Did they even have cameras in 1985 when Reagan skipped Dachau to stand in an SS cemetery and declare that they were victims too, because I've never seen that on the tribute shows. But I can see we've gone off the target list. You've got Muslims to murder now, and gays to bash, and somewhere in Florida there is still ground to stand against the dire threat of Skittles and iced tea. Who has time to haul out the horns and hook noses anymore? It's a lost art. Besides, someone noticed what great human shields we make. Grab yourself a Goldstein today. Wrap yourself in Israel. Watch the checks roll in. Never mind the slaughter your butchers there commit. Just cozy up to BB and keep the heathen-burning post-apocalyptic circle jerk private, please. Don't try the peace and love bullshit. I have read your message boards. I will put this simply so you can understand what I mean. It is 2013 and I live in the best time and place for Jews that there has ever been. This is a blessing, a privilege, a gift. but it still stands for nothing but a strategic shift. So, I will be your enemy. I won't be your pet kike. Because we know exactly what theocracy looks like. And if you think we'll let you do it because we are doing well, better change your plans, because there ain't no chance in hell. All right, thank you so much. I've got 2 more for you. All right, you've just heard about my mother's side of the family. This is about my father's side of the family. And actually, Janae, you still out there somewhere?
Yeah.
So there was Janae, as you saw, is an incredible poet. And there was a line in one of her poems, you may have to help me a little bit, but it's something about, I can't imagine what a 22-year-old white boy from Connecticut knows about struggle.
You got it, yeah.
Okay. And at the time, I was a 22-year-old white boy from Arizona when I first heard that poem. And it got me thinking a little bit. So this is a kind of about some of my family history and all of that. And I have to find it in here because there's no way I can do this from memory. It's called Malawi. Malawi, how much can I love you? I do not mean it in the hallmark way, the how can I express this boundless caring pablum. No, this is the kind that is literally right now keeping me up at night. I mean, how much is it okay for me to love you, given who I am and where my roots are planted? Oh, I am no one very important. Just one more white boy looking in from outside at your struggle, who is not living your daily pain, your crop failure, currency spiral, 12% HIV everyday existence. I am really just a slightly more familiar sort of stranger. My father was born November 1953 in Chihuahua, on the little demonstration farm where my grandparents fled. Unemployed 21-year-olds sent to hand out fertilizer and teach people to use tractors in the Crown Protectorate of Nyasaland. My grandfather calls it the bad old days. Said he hated the bastards he worked with. Prep school boys come to make their fortunes not like him. Not poor Cornish farm boys who grew up planting and picking. He speaks perfect Chichewa. They all had to learn when they went, but I have seen the instruction books. It's all imperative tense. Fetch this, carry that, stop before I shoot. He didn't go for that. He learned it conversational, and 60 years on, he still has Malawians laughing. Because my grandfather speaks perfect Chichewa in the thickest West Country accent you can imagine. One, Indali Bueno, and they're rolling on the floor. In the bad old days, he tells me he was reprimanded twice. Once for walking in the villages, sitting down like neighbors with the natives. The other is better. Conduct unbecoming an Englishman. For letting black men see him sprint shirtless across the officer's golf course, swinging his one bent club. And I tell these stories so that I can tell myself he was okay. That he was one of the good ones. A harmless exception to the generations of white men who have come to your borders plundering. That surely there was nothing wrong with a little pride in you on my part. In 1972, my father left to enroll at the University of Cape Town, and you do not need to have studied much history to see where this is going. There, he fell in love with archaeology, but I think it's fair to say he at least minored in struggle. At one march, the army turned on them with clubs, drove them screaming in the doors of the National Cathedral, thinking surely they'd be left alone in there, among the silent saints. They just threw in tear gas grenades and shut the doors, and my father fought his way to a window and jumped out of it. And I tell these stories so that I can tell myself that he was okay. That he was one of the good ones, a harmless exception to the generations of white men who have come to your borders plundering. That surely there was nothing wrong with a little pride in you on my part. And what of me? In college, a friend of a friend, having gotten this whole transcontinental tale secondhand, said, "So Colin, your dad is black, right?" And I played it off, cracked some dumb joke about my almost scary paleness. Well, in my head, I was ticking off every bonus, every opened door, the unearned advantages of that one untruth. Because my father's passport is from a country he's only seen as a tourist, that he has scarcely spent more time in than the 5 weeks that I have spent in you, land by the lake, place of cedar-ringed mountains and blue water and the best people, who did nothing to deserve the destruction white men dealt, who welcome with an instant warmth so genuine I feel ashamed. Malawi, I have loved you mostly from afar, but I'm coming back soon, and I just want an answer. I will understand if it is none, no, not at all, if I do not have the right, that this was never my country, and that the taint of its thievery taints widely and forever. I can offer no defense. Just these stories, so that I can tell myself that I am okay, one of the good ones, a harmless exception to the generations of white men who have come to your borders plundering, that surely, even when it keeps me up at night, that there is nothing wrong with a little love for you on my part. Thank you all so much. This has been an absolute thrill. There are so many friendly faces out there. And for those of you I've never met before, you are all now my friends. And I thank you so much for being here. Before we go, can we have one more round of applause for the Jeff Robinson Trio, please? Because I love jazz. And these guys are, for my money, one of the best jazz bands in this city. And so, before I go, I could not leave without doing a jazz piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this, named after the song of the same name, is Miles Runs the Voodoo Down. It's sticky and dark in this threadbare hole. The bulb's burnt out and it's black as coal. I got a lumpy couch and an itchy soul, and someone's got to run this voodoo down. 'Cause life ain't smooth, it's a sticky stew, a quicksand bog, a bitch's brew, and if you gulp too much, no pill will do. Just that trumpet come to run your voodoo down. It's made of night, of glass and steel, stark and stunning, barely real. The cold compress that lets you heal gets into you and runs your voodoo down. It's a lullaby for full-grown men, the cynic's hymn, the doubter's zen. When you just need to rest and try again, the call will come to run your voodoo down. 'Cause I've been drinking 1 part gin and 2 parts tears, and 3 parts bitters for the squandered years, and 4 parts panic and no parts rest, and 10 parts voodoo for the pins in my chest. Strain it all off into a box of nails, add a dash of black powder in case all else fails. Top with a couple of well-muddled hearts and pour it straight down your throat till oblivion starts. 'Cause you can feed anger with a crashing beat. Let strings serenade you when your victory's complete. But when it's jumbled and nervous and you need to retreat, then clean off your bloodstains, bandage your bruise, drop 1 more ice cube in your lukewarm booze. Get on your back and float before you drown. And pray that Miles comes to run the voodoo down.